Now that our pumpkins have been fired, we're going to glaze them. And so your pumpkin's going to look like this, and you need your brushes. This is something you're supposed to get with your supplies. And then this is what our glaze looks like. And you're going to have a little tab that shows you what 3 layers of that glaze looks like. And on the back it says what it is on the bottle. So if those don't match up, know that it's the wrong tab. But another thing that's important is noticing the consistency of the glaze. It should be like a yogurt consistency. So if it is not, you just add water with your spray bottle and you're going to mix it until it becomes yogurt consistency. You don't want to put it on unless it's the right consistency. Then you're just going to take whatever brush you want to use. I'm using my larger one just to cover more area so it's faster. And you're going to put on your first layer. Now notice to make sure to get inside all of your carvings. For me, I did a face, so I'm making sure I get into the eyes and really just making sure there's no white areas. When you're completely done with the surface of this pumpkin, you shouldn't see any white at all. Now, if your big brush doesn't get into your carvings, you can use a smaller brush that you should have. So you're going to cover this entire pumpkin part, the color you choose. So I'm not telling you what color you have to do. If you want a blue pumpkin, hey, paint your pumpkin blue. If you want a black one, paint it black. You decide. It does not have to be a realistic pumpkin at all. It can be anything, any of those glazes you choose. Once you get to the stem area or where the leaf is, just take your time so you don't get the glaze everywhere. So just really take your time in that area. Obviously you can go faster in other areas. Once you're completely done, just really rotate it. You'll see that it's a little see-through in some areas. You got glaze in areas that you don't really want glaze. Maybe you forgot some spaces and go back and paint over that. But you want to have 2 layers of this glaze. Now, when you're done with your 2 layers, you can wipe off with a damp sponge or rag any of the areas that you shouldn't have the glaze on. It's a really easy way to clean it off. But yes, you want 2 of the basic color, but possibly 3. And we'll talk about that later. So to keep your brushes good, just keep them in water whenever you're not using them. Okay, and if you notice, I put my bag underneath just to have some cushion for my pumpkin. You're welcome to do that. Maybe you're just going to hold it the whole time. But I found it was easy so it didn't hit the table and be really, really loud. So if you are wanting to use the same brush and need to clean out, just do it with water and then wipe it off with a rag so there is no glaze in it. And that will keep your brushes really nice. I'm using a green for my stem because that's what I've chosen. And I find doing the dabbing technique is really nice when you have texture, especially like the top of the stem of my texture. You want glaze all up in all of that. Like I said before, you don't want any white at all. Now this is where it's going to start to get a little tricky, and you're really going to have to kind of slow down if you want really fast when you're painting the actual pumpkin area, because there's a lot of intersections of where the glaze goes. And you're going to have to rotate your pumpkin a lot so you don't miss any areas either. I actually found out that I missed quite a few and had to keep rotating to make sure that I have it. So make sure you keep doing that. This is a 3D work of art, so rotating it around, holding it upside down 3-dimensionally to make sure you have it all glazed is really helpful. Really make sure all those white sections are covered. And you're going to put 2 layers of this color on your stem and on your leaf. Unless you choose that you want your leaf a different color than your stem, that is an option. You get to decide. You need to have at least 3 different colors of glaze. So right now I have one on my pumpkin part and one on my stem, and you could easily decide I want the leaf to be a different color. So if you decide that, that's great. Boom, you have 3 colors. But maybe you're going to want to do what I'm showing you on my pumpkin. So just keep watching just in case. You may like how it turns out. So I'm putting that green on my stem, and I'm going to then move on to my leaf and my little vine that comes off my leaf here. But you can tell it's taking me longer because it's a more complicated area, and that's okay. The more time and care you put into your piece, the better it's going to look. So now I'm moving to my leaf and making sure I get all around it, every direction. Get the sides, even underneath. Be really careful not to get it on the other part of your pumpkin underneath. Okay, so again, remember to apply 2 layers of that glaze, and this is what I'm doing for my 3rd layer. So I'm actually choosing, so that's what I put on the pumpkin part, and now I'm gonna put like dashes on the stem for my 3rd layer. You have to do this once all your glaze is dry. This is the last layer, and I'm just gonna put it here and there, and I'm hoping that it will come out and just kind of show some really cool texture on my stem and kind of, you know, tie in my stem into my pumpkin. The frustrating thing about glaze is it's kind of a mystery until it gets fired. It's a very, it's a chemistry thing. Sometimes it will pop out, sometimes it will just blend together, and sometimes the darker color will overtake the lighter color. So I'm just kind of experimenting, and depending on the colors you use, you'll have more success. So that is how I'm doing my 3rd layer, and that's why I only did 2 layers originally. If you don't want to do this, then you're just going to do 3 layers of that one color on every place you put. Like I said, if you do one color, the pumpkin, one stem, and one leaf. If you notice any white spots have happened, like it's chipped off a little bit, just go back and cover up any of those spots, and that's fine. So now I'm choosing this 3rd color, and that's what I'm going to put as my 3rd texture color on my pumpkin part. So you'll see me just kind of put it dashes here and there. That I hope it looks great. I'm kind of just experimenting and seeing what I think. And you'll never really know until after the glaze fire, and then you can decide if you liked that experiment or not. I've used these colors before, so I know that I like them, but I don't know how well they blend together. So this is going to be an experiment. I'm getting all of my areas. If any glaze came off, I'm just covering it back over. When you're done, just take a moment and look at everything again and decide if you like it. And I've done 3 layers. I'm happy with it. And I'm moving on to cleaning my brushes really, really well so they save.